This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, the Prime Minister says another region is set to drop to alert level 3, but the South Island can't expect a change soon. A Dunedin man has spent some of his lockdown helping a mummy duck, protecting a group of ducklings. And the police have been monitoring people driving around during COVID level restrictions. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. The number of new COVID-19 cases recorded today is under 50, down from the 70 plus announced yesterday. The Prime Minister says the South Island's alert level 3 status will remain until Cabinet decides it's safe to change it.
Speaking at this afternoon's media briefing, the Prime Minister has ruled out bringing forward a drop to COVID Alert Level 2 for the South Island.
So no, that hasn't been part of our plan. We've said that we want to bring all of the review for all of New Zealand through till Monday. And one of the reasons for that is, of course, while we have several hundred contacts that have been in the South Island, those are the ones we know. And whilst those have been contact traced, they've been tested, they are the ones that are known to us and our ministry team. There may well be others connected to these cases that we don't know about. So level 3 provides that extra layer of caution.
However, as of midnight tonight, Auckland will be the only New Zealand region remaining at level 4, as successive wastewater tests in Northland have been clear, and that region drops to level 3 overnight. Director General of Health Ashley Bloomfield says there are fewer than 50 new cases of the Delta variant of COVID-19 today.
There are 49 new cases to report in the community. All of these are in Auckland. This takes our total number of cases in this outbreak to 725, with 709 of these in Auckland and 16 in Wellington.
Of those, he says 42 are in hospital, 6 in ICU or high dependency units, and 3 people are on ventilators. And also today, the Prime Minister announced a $26 million COVID funding package aimed at New Zealand's Pacifica population. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A hearse believed to be carrying local Dunedin identity Joan Butcher was driven slowly through central Dunedin today. A Gillian's Funeral Services hearse, led by a police car, did a lap of the Octagon this afternoon. The hearse's occupant is thought to be Dunedin woman Joan Butcher, who passed away on Sunday night. Miss Butcher was known to many in the central city. She was known for selling artworks to passers-by in the city street and sadly battled alcohol and health issues for many years. Joan is due to be missed by many. If you're driving through the Dunedin suburb of Wakari, you might want to keep a lookout for ducks. One couple living there are looking after 2 broods of ducklings that travel about 500 metres each day between Centennial Avenue and a nearby stream.
Dunedin resident Jeff Alexander has become well known in his suburb of Helensburgh for helping 2 broods of ducklings from a nearby creek travel safely along the half-kilometre journey to his house and back every day.
They just turned up here a few years ago and we just follow them home. And they live down in the stream, and they walk up to our place, we feed them, and at the end of the day we walk them home because I want to make sure they're safe.
Part of the ducks' travels involves crossing Wakari Road, and Alexander has become increasingly concerned for their safety on the often busy street.
To be honest, we've stopped walking them during the day. We only do it the last one at night because or else it becomes their life, not ours. And so we just said, no, we can only walk them home at the end of the day.
Every day he and his wife feed the ducks a meal of rolled oats, steamed rice, birdseed and sugar water. And some days can involve unexpected rescues as well.
One of the drains down the road, I had to lift it up to get the 2 of the ducks out. So I get the ducks out and I'm getting the second one out and the duck's pecking me for touching its ducklings. And People are looking at me on the road going, well, what's you doing lying in a drain?
Alexander says his primary motivation for looking after the ducks is born out of a holistic view of life on Earth.
You only get out of this earth what you put into it. And if you put kindness around, you're going to get kindness back.
In Dunedin, the South Today.
Development of an upmarket subdivision in the Dunedin suburb of Brighton has stalled, and people who signed up to buy sections have had their deposits returned. 24 sections at the proposed subdivision on Scroggs Hill Road were snapped up quickly when they went to market almost 2 years ago. However, lack of agreement about drainage in the area remains an unresolved problem. The real estate agency selling the sections says titles have not been issued and the project is in limbo, but there remains hope it will succeed. The developer is now considering what options are possible for stormwater disposal from the site. Police have been running checkpoints across Dunedin to make sure people are not travelling outside their local area. They say they've encountered a number of people driving or cycling much further than they are allowed at alert levels 3 and 4.
This police checkpoint in Portobello is just one of many across Dunedin in recent days, letting people know that they shouldn't drive or cycle long distances without acceptable reasons during alert levels 3 and 4. Senior Constable Aaron Smith says they've encountered intrepid cyclists who made the journey all the way from far-off suburbs such as North East Valley.
We've been having a lot of people down on the peninsula coming from town, cycling out all the way to the heads, which is against the rules in regards to level 4. So we thought we'd pop out and have some of the crew come out from town and help me out because I'm sole charge. So yeah, just making sure everyone's doing the right thing.
Smith is based in Portobello and says while the locals are friendly, they don't want people venturing into their community unnecessarily while COVID-19 is potentially still spreading across the country.
Everyone in my community down here especially, big shout out to them, they've been absolutely amazing this time around. And they just don't want people coming from outside our area as well to stop that spread should it happen. So they have those concerns, and that's why we're here and giving them some reassurance that people who are not supposed to be here aren't here.
Smith says the public have generally been as well behaved during these recent high alert levels as they were during the first half of last year.
Initially, at the start of this lockdown 4, everyone was giving it a go, seeing how far they could push the rules. But with a little bit, as I say, of education and speaking with them, most people, for the most part, are great.
Everywhere south of Auckland shifted to alert level 3 this morning, but going out to exercise remains restricted to your local area. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. The New Zealand Symphony Orchestra cancels concerts in the South, and we have an episode of Global Insight for you with international relations expert Professor Robert Patman. So see you after the break.
Hi, it's Lindsay here from Campbell's Menswear. We have a massive manufacturer's clearance plus. There's liquidated stock from our suppliers. For example, we have cotton casual trousers from 1990, dress trousers from 1990, merino zip pullovers, fashion shirts, warm winter shirts, jackets. There's a great deal on overcoats, blazers and suits. Come and check out our jeans. We're known for our jean selection.
Campbell's Menswear, it fits.
Come in and see the massive manufacturer's clearance at Campbell's Menswear.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
John's doing his bit to make lockdown better. Lockdown deals, 30 to 50% off while lockdown lasts. Shop online now and save. Pick up later or get delivered with contactless options available at level 3. Lockdown deals. You might be stuck in your bubble, but that doesn't mean you can't shop at My Mate John's. Plus, interest-free payment options available only at mymatejohn.co.nz.
Where'd you get that furniture from? Stafford Street and My Mate John.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Welcome back. The New Zealand Symphony Orchestra has cancelled this month's concerts in Dunedin and Invercargill. The NZSO was due to perform concerts in Dunedin and Invercargill between the 23rd and 25th of September. A spokesman says the concerts were to be part of the orchestra's Setting Up Camp tour and were previously postponed from dates in March because of COVID-19 restrictions. Due to their size, the concerts can only be performed to a live audience at Alert Level 1. However, the NZSO has announced a suite of South Island dates, including Dunedin, on November the 7th. In this edition of Global Insight, international relations expert Professor Robert Patman discusses Myanmar 7 months after a military coup. He says the often troubled nation is on the brink of civil war. Professor Patman chatted with Bruce Munro via Zoom today.
Kia ora, I'm Bruce Munro, and with me via Zoom is International Relations Specialist Professor Robert Patman, and this is Global Insight. It's 7 months since the military-led coup overthrew the democratically elected government of Myanmar. The country has slipped off the news radar, but what happens there is still important for Southeast Asia and the world. Welcome, Robert.
Morning, Bruce.
What is the state of play in Myanmar?
It's pretty grim at the moment, and what we've seen in the 7 months since the military seized power on the 1st of February of this year, we've seen more than 1,000 protesters killed, many of them peaceful protesters, and we've also seen up to 6,000 citizens in Myanmar detained. And so in addition, with the political problems being what they are, we also have seen COVID ravage the country. Recent reports from medical specialists suggest that up to half of Myanmar's population could be infected by COVID in the not too distant future, which of course is not just a concern for Myanmar, but for neighbouring countries.
And do you have a picture of what is happening in terms of the coup and opposition to it?
Yes, it's interesting. Ms. Suu Kyi, who was the leader of the National League for Democracy, which won a landslide election in November last year, and was the lead, and she was head of the government that was overthrown by the military junta, was recently faced court proceedings. I think it was in June. And she could be facing up to 10 years imprisonment for alleged fraud in the last election. But little evidence has been produced to back up these allegations. What is interesting is that the opponents to the coup, Myanmar is a multi-ethnic society, and there has always been ethnic groups which have sometimes given armed opposition to the military in power in the past. So that opposition's never really gone away, and that seems to be mobilizing. What's interesting is some convergence between supporters of the now overthrown National League for Democracy and some of these ethnic groups. There seems to be some sort of coordination going on. And there's also a bit of a split, really, between, if you like, the old guard within the National League for Democracy, who identify with with the detained Miss Suu Kyi, and the younger generation, who, while they respect her, as one put it, as a historically significant figure, believe that younger activists want actually to overthrow the military completely and not compromise with it. That's one of the, if you like, grumbles that younger activists have with Miss Suu Kyi's leadership, that she compromised with the military, but the military still didn't hesitate to overthrow her as she nudged Myanmar towards more established democracy. So I think there's a determination amongst younger people who previously identified with the National League for Democracy and other protest groups that there'll be no compromise with the military. So this is we are leading to a situation which is teetering towards civil war.
Russia has maintained contact with the military of Myanmar. How significant is Russia's recent move to sell military equipment to the junta?
There has been some activity recently, but it is part of a long-running relationship between the military in Myanmar and Russia. Russia has, since late 90s, been between 1998 and 2018, has been one of the leading arms exporters to Southeast Asia, and Myanmar balances its acquisition of arms between Russia and China. These are the two major arms providers. China, in that period, that 20-year period, has sold something like $1.6 billion worth of arms to Myanmar, and Russia's narrowly behind with $1.5 billion worth of arms. Russia's entry into the situation, I suppose, it is one of the world's biggest arms sellers. I think it's in the top 3. And given the plight of the Russian economy, it's an important commercial opportunity for Russia. It should be recalled for our viewers, Bruce, that the UN basically passed a resolution which ruled out the sale of arms to the military after the coup in February of this year. But China and Russia abstained. And so they see this as an opportunity because of the sanctions that's now being applied to the military. They do not consider themselves to be constrained in any way, and possibly relish the opportunity to support a fellow authoritarian regime. So you're quite right. Russia has stepped up its activities in the military sphere and sees Myanmar as a potentially lucrative market. The other thing here is that Russia has got interests in the steel industry in Myanmar and also in oil exploration. So Russian companies involved in both areas. So I think there's a degree of commercial activity here by the Russians. But in addition, I think there's a geopolitical interest in Myanmar. The Russians see Myanmar as occupying a key strategic location in Southeast Asia. And Mr. Putin's made no secret of the fact that he wants to put Russia back on the map as a great power. And of course, Southeast Asia is one of the most dynamic regions in the world. So Russia wants its share of the action there if it can get it.
How will this play out in Myanmar if the international community forgets the country?
I suppose that's always a possibility in theory, but I think in practice it won't happen because I think the United States and a number of democracies have been sensitized to the potential political threat presented by authoritarian regimes like China and also Russia. And the more that Russia and China get engaged in Myanmar, I think the more the liberal democracies will be seeking to remain diplomatically interested in Myanmar. What sort of shape that takes, that engagement, we will have to see. ASEAN has been making noises about trying to mediate in Myanmar for 6 months. They recently appointed an envoy, special envoy to Myanmar, but they have quite a laborious style of decision-making in ASEAN, which is by consensus only. And given that many members of ASEAN, in fact, all of them, basically subscribe to the doctrine of non-interference in domestic affairs, they are reluctant to really, I suppose, take the military to task, because they feel that might be overstepping their brief as a regional organization. So diplomatically, I don't think we can expect too much in the near future. The situation could change, however, if the political situation in Myanmar continues to deteriorate. One of the problems facing the military junta is that their rule has not only devastated Myanmar in political terms and polarized the country, it's dealt a severe blow to the economy. And they've got to find a way of reactivating the economy. And with a population which seems to be quite determined to oppose it, that may be a real problem. So it's a delicately balanced situation. It's teetering on civil war, as I said before. Russia and China stepping up their activities. And at the moment, we're waiting to see whether the rest of the international community can, in a sense, come up with a diplomatic initiative which is critical of the junta, but nevertheless supportive of people as a whole in Myanmar. So that has not yet eventuated.
Thanks, Robert. And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Ka kite anō.
Still to come on the South today. There's hope for a southern festival, and we take a look at tomorrow's weather for you, so see you after the break.
John's doing his bit to make lockdown better. Lockdown deals. Shop online now and save. Pick up later or get delivered with contactless options available at level 3.
And my mate John.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Hi, it's Lindsay here from Campbell's Menswear. We have a massive manufacturer's clearance plus. There's liquidated stock from our suppliers. For example, we have cotton casual trousers from 1990, dress trousers from 1990, merino zip pullovers, fashion shirts, warm winter shirts, jackets. There's a great deal on overcoats, blazers and suits. Come and check out our jeans. We're known for our jean selection.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Come in and see the massive manufacturer's clearance at Alex Campbell Menswear.
Thanks for staying with us. Organisers at Invercargill's Polyfest have their fingers crossed the event can go ahead if the alert levels drop for the region. The Maharo Mirihuku Polyfest was set to begin at the ILT Stadium last week, but lockdown meant it had to be postponed. Organisers are now hoping the event will be held over the last week of this month. In the past, the festival has showcased the talent of about 7,000 young people across the region. Organisers say they had prepared contingency plans earlier this year, including later dates or holding the event online, as was done last year. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. The Prime Minister says another region is set to drop to alert level 3, but the South Island can't expect a change soon. A Dunedin man has spent some of his lockdown helping a mummy duck protecting a group of ducklings. And the police have been monitoring people driving around during COVID level restrictions. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Barry. What have you got for us in tomorrow's paper?
Hello, Melissa. First of all, welcome back
to
our little bubble. Anyway, just quickly, I know we haven't got much time, but we've spoken to some experts and they're saying that New Zealanders do not fully understand how grim the situation could be if we don't get on top of this latest COVID variant, Delta, and if the elimination strategy fails. So we have some analysis of what that could mean from them, so it's a good read. A Wanaka environmentalist is gearing up to tackle billionaire Peter Thiel's proposed luxury lodge on the shores of Lake Wanaka. Paralympics, Sophie Pascoe going for gold again tonight. We also preview a couple of Otago athletes who are in the medal running tomorrow. And the Minister of the Environment is seeking advice about what to do with the ORC. So more on that story.
Oh, something for everyone in tomorrow's paper, and go Sophie Pascoe. Now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, a typical spring Dunedin day, not a cloud in the sky. Looking at the situation, a few days of mild northwesterly airflow lie ahead, with winds often strong about the south coast, some rain in western areas, but mostly fine weather for much of Otago. Colder winds are on the way next week. Starting off at the southern towns, fresh northerlies with some high cloud for the Catlins and Balclutha, 16 degrees for the Catlins and Balclutha, high of 17. And it's fresh northwesterlies for Lumsden and Gore, along with a sprinkling of high cloud. Lumsden sees a high of 17 and Gore reaches 16. Moving across to the Central Lakes area, moderate northwesterlies and fine weather for nearly everyone here with 18 degrees in Wanaka and Queenstown, while Alexandra reaches a high of 19 degrees. Te Anau can expect fresh northerlies with cloud and 15 degrees. Moving to the northern towns, moderate northerlies and fine weather on the coast with 18 degrees in Timaru and Oamaru, 17 degrees. Inland, moderate northwesterlies and fine conditions for Twizel and Amarama with a high of 19 degrees. In Dunedin, fine and cold tonight with northeasterly breezes and a low of 6. Milder tomorrow with moderate northerlies developing, mostly fine and sunny with some high cloud later, looking at a high of 18 and a low of 5. Sunny periods with some high cloud on Saturday with moderate northwesterlies, a high of 17 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, some cloud tonight with westerlies and a low of 7. Milder tomorrow with sunny periods, high cloud and fresh breezy northwesterlies, a high of 17 and a low of 9. And strong to near gale force northwesterlies on Saturday with cloudy skies and a few light showers at times, a high of 16 and a low of 9. And that's all from the South Today team for this Thursday. For the latest news from across the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. Join Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Remember to like and subscribe to receive notifications of up-to-date content. Thanks for joining. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with CAMPBELL'S Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.